Josephine Knight, welcome to Harbin, China. Welcome to the 5th Schoenfeld International String Competition.
Thank you very much.
Is this your first time in Harbin?
No, this is my second time. I first came in 2016. Yes, so all those years back. So it's been really interesting to come back.
So tell us about 2016 and now 7 years later, and things that have changed or things that you still find, I love about Harbin.
Yes, I mean, it's a very special place. I think it has a fantastic balance between, history, culture, but also the nature. So I love coming here because there's, as I say, there's a really good balance. I think, yeah, it's been really interesting to come back because the competition was quite new when I first came. And even though COVID obviously has had an impact, it actually has really developed and become a global important competition and that everyone knows about. So now we're seeing a lot of high level international contestants, which is wonderful.
So now being in Harbin and playing in the concert hall like you did the other night, and being here in the Harbin Conservatory, and having been all over the world, what's your impressions of the arts facilities that are here in this city?
The arts facilities, in terms of specifically what?
What's impressed you about the conservatory, about the concert hall, and its importance to the city? Yes,
I mean, obviously, we played in the Grand Theatre, so that was, which was, I don't think we played there last time. I think we played in the other concert hall.
Yeah. So we played in the concert hall, so it's the Grand Theatre that I think was last time.
It was last time, so we played in the concert hall and we played in the Grand Theatre before, that's right. And well, certainly the conservatoire here is hugely impressive in terms of facilities. And they have, I mean, a vast campus. As far as the concert halls, I mean, there's obviously a wish for classical music, which is really encouraging. I wouldn't like to, I mean, every time I've been here, it's been busy. And apart from being involved with the competition, and just getting a sense of the feel of what's happening here, I haven't had that much time to really go out and experience Harbin itself yet.
Well, that'll come soon.
Yes.
In a couple of days.
Yes.
Now I want to pull us back in time for you and your journey as a cellist. What was it that first attracted you to playing the instrument?
Well, both my parents are or were pedagogue, top violin teachers and viola, and not that necessarily follows, but and when I was very young, maybe 3, they would wake up to listening to me playing on their violins, and and desperate to have a go. And then they started. I tried to have lessons, and it didn't really work out. And then our local school had a cello teacher who knew my parents, and they said, "Well, would your daughter like to try the cello?" And it was just, I just took to it like a duck to water, and just fell in love with the instrument. And then it developed from there that both my parents were teaching at a very well-known school in the UK called Wells Cathedral School, one of the 4 top specialist music schools, and I auditioned for there, and had a very intensive sort of musical training there, and then I went to the Royal Academy to study for 4 years, and then I met Aldo Paraso at Banff in Canada, on a summer school, and I just thought I have to study with this man. And then my journey took me to the States, to the United States, and I had I studied at Yale University with Aldo Paraso, and then I went to the Juilliard. So that was kind of my journey, if you like, before becoming a professional musician.
So now you're at the Royal Academy in London, and so you yourself are teaching many cellists. I'm sure a lot of them are interested in going into competitions. So when someone comes to you and says, I'd like to enter, say, the Schoenfeld competition, how do you help them prepare, both musically and mentally?
Well, firstly, I would, you need time. It's amazing. You cannot underestimate how much time you need in terms of, you need to really, before any competition, you need to be ready with the repertoire a year before. So if you think that that's a year before, you need to have all the repertoire in your fingers and have lived with the repertoire. It's not just about practicing notes and technically becoming proficient, but actually there needs to be, a bit like bread. If you're making bread, it needs time to rise, it needs time to settle. And so I really insist with my students that are going in for international competitions that a year before, everything needs to be learnt. And then before that, the process of learning, that is sort of layering in a way. So you learn the piece, and then you start to look at what you can do with the piece, stylistically and musically, everything, and also individually. I think it's really important that we want to, now have performers that are not sounding like particular players, but that actually they have their own idea, that they're consummate performers, that they're bringing something fresh to the stage. So it's a long process. It is a long process.
So now that goes into being a jury member, like you are now. So you mentioned a little bit about some things to bring to the table, a freshness, but what is it that you look for when all these cellists, you're hearing them back to back? What stands out to you? What are you specifically listening for?
Well, there's certain non-negotiables that obviously everyone technically has to be of a level, but it's much more than that. I'm looking for a performer who is stylistically informed, definitely a performer that can communicate the storytelling, and really saying something that powerful, that to be able to really touch us as the listener, because isn't that what classical music's about? It's to be able to, really say something and to be touched. So I'm looking for a performer who is not just not impressive. Of course, they need to be technically impressive, but much more on the musical side, on the stylistic side. Can a performer show the difference between Beethoven and Brahms, Schubert? I want to see that they understand what era these pieces were written in, and also that they can bring something fresh, imaginative to the table.
And how challenging that is, because if you're playing solo Bach and a Beethoven sonata and the Elgar concerto and a brand new piece, it's you're looking really for the depth. You're looking for the whole package, aren't you?
Yes, we are. We really are. Yeah. And the standard is now, these days, phenomenally high, and the stakes are very high. So yes, it's not enough just to have practiced your notes. You have to be well read. You have to understand the composer's life, the history of the composer. How are they reacting to what's been before? You know, the differences of how you might play a certain slur, you know, from Bach through to now, you know, those little articulation, those little nuances that really show so much about how informed the performer is.
So this being your second competition, how would you say the
Here.
level is? Yes, yes, sorry, here. How would you say the level of the competition is that you've noticed now, having gone through 2 rounds at the time of filming?
Compared with 2016?
Yes.
I definitely think it's higher this time, the level, yes, which is really exciting.
And what would you put that to? Is it because the Schoenfeld has garnered a much higher reputation?
Yes, I think reputation. I think it has great. The Schoenfeld has great artistic integrity. It's led by, you know, a wonderful artistic director, and also it's with across. We've got, you know, connections of Europe, USA. And China, and it's really spanning the whole world, and I think it has now, people know of it, you know.
So now, one final question. In a few days' time, the winner will be chosen in the cello division. What advice would you give to them now that they want to launch their career and they have won this big international competition? What should their next steps be?
If they win.
If they win.
To never stop searching for new ideas, new stimulus, new information. Don't ever stay with just one way of playing something, or keep developing, keep searching. I think, because, you know, when you speak to older generations, they never stop sharing their knowledge, but also finding new knowledge, and that's the beauty of it, isn't it? You never get to a stage just winning a prize does not mean just that you've reached your destination. You're still on the journey, the life journey of learning and discovering.
Wonderful. Well, Josephine, I thank you so much for joining us and being here in Harbin with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.